Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to start our study session. Okay. We're going to start a study session. I have the first item, this is a special permit. I checked with Councilor Petrona Rouser and Rouser, rather. Welcome, Councilor Mashak.
Thank you.
And you okay with this now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I want, Counselor, just so you know, I did go over there, and I'm fine with it
Okay.
right now.
Thank you, Councilor.
Okay.
Now, we have a resolution appointment. There's going to be any appointments there, City Clerk? Okay, Councilor Caldwell.
Thank you, Councilor Hogan. Blessings to all. I have item number 10. This is regarding a grant. Chris Abbott will be here to talk about it.
Good afternoon. Chris Abbott, Deputy Commissioner of Parks Department. We have one item, item number 10, doing with Better Cities for Pets. Keep Us Together initiative, grant an amount not to exceed $20,000 to provide assistance to pet owners in the city.
I love you said grant.
I'm sorry,
I love the word grant.
it's a grant.
Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions?
We're all set.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Okay, I know.
Thank you, Councilor Hogan.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. Councilor Majak.
Thank you, Pro Tem. I have item 11 to 19. I think the CRB.
Oh, I'm sorry, CRB is gonna hold those items, she's not feeling well.
Okay, so 11,
And
12, 13.
and 13.
Okay. Okay, so 11, 12, and 13 will be held. We have item 14. Chief? This is a fire item.
Good afternoon, Common Council. I'm Michael Mons, the Fire Chief. Item 14 is we applied for a SAFER grant, which pays for 20 new firefighters' salaries and benefits for 3 years. We applied, the dollar amount was 7.2. We got awarded $7.59 million. So I'm just asking for the increase of $400,000 to amend the previous ordinance.
So just a technical correction, right?
Yes,
After the
that's
award?
it. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay. Any questions? Well, this is great, Chief.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
It's
Yeah.
great. Third largest grant in New York State
Yeah.
history for this.
We'll
Yep.
take it. $300,000 more?
Yep.
Hey.
Thank you.
Chief, thanks for what you did today, hosting that ceremony. Of course, it was a really tragic.
Thank you. And thank you to all of
day.
you. You guys always send thoughts and prayers to our firefighters and first responders,
Appreciate
so thank
everything
you.
that you do. And
Thank
the
you.
difficult job you have, so.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Chief, I'm obviously in support. Will you just give a brief bit of background about why New York State is making this money available?
Can you say that one more time?
Pardon me. Can you give a quick little background about why New York State is making this money available?
This money's from FEMA, so it's a program called Assistance to Firefighters Grant, and it's to sustain staffing to provide services in the city. So it's a very competitive grant. We're currently in a performance period of a previous application that we awarded. Typically, you don't get it back to back. Our narrative was so compelling that they gave us this grant also. But it's to maintain our fire department, to increase services in our city and to be able to maintain that. So,
It's a lot of money. Good luck.
Is this
Thank you.
running out on 2026? Is that?
this will start in 25, March of 2025, and it will end in March of 2028.
28? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's good.
Does anybody have any questions
Anything else?
anymore? All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Chief. Item 15, I think is Director Lateef item.
Afternoon, Chief Johnson Kinsey, Mayor's Office of Reduced Gun Violence. So we've had a conversation about Unbelievable, which is Noble's program. So yearly over the last, I believe, decade or so, he's been receiving the $200,000. We added on the $50,000 that we had to continue programming with our Safer Streets.
So for just to remind everybody, the portion of OG that could not be executed, we took that and we gave it to street addiction. And
Yes.
on top of street addiction already funding that we have already approved, we add the $50,000 on top of it so that they can do credible messenger
Yeah.
and the other stuff. So that's the idea.
So the
But this is-
money, I'm sorry, Councilor Gathers, you
Yeah.
go.
This is in relation to,
So it's a combination of two things. The street addiction is already in the budget.
Right, the TRT.
Well, of $200,000.
TRT, not street addiction. It'll be
Yeah,
TRT.
TRT, I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
Right? So $200,000, $50,000 came in front of us about two voting sessions ago. We said that we were not going to add that into the city budget, or at least to hire them through the city. What we're going to do is address it just as much as we are addressing the mayor's
Officer with discipline
right.
violence, okay.
So instead of bringing it to the city, we're going to give it to the community organization, just like we are doing with the rest of the plan.
So the trauma response team will also be partaking in Credible Messengers? Is that their expansion?
Yeah. So just to give some clarity to it, we talked about not adding to the city payroll. We have 2 people that are already working with us who are credible messengers that are on city payroll. Councilman Majoke asked that we didn't add on and just give Noble Timothy Bay Jennings the funds, the $50,000 to manage, and he'll probably most likely hire 2 more credible messengers because that's what we were going to do if we would have had the money. So it's just an expansion of what he's already doing.
Is it clear?
Yeah, it's clear. I just wanted to be sure.
Just
that-
the money,
Yes, sir.
so we transferred more money into the trauma response team from the mayor's gang
Yeah.
violence task
Yeah,
force
yeah. So we're asking him to
budget
do
because OG's,
Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
that's, so we
Yeah.
transfer, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
yes, sir.
Yeah, it's, remember just a couple of meetings ago, we rescinded that legislation.
OG was grant money, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
So can you transfer grant money?
No.
Oh, it wasn't?
No.
Oh,
OG
okay,
was
that
part of
was-
opera money.
Oh, okay.
ARPA, I'm
That's
sorry.
fine. Yeah.
So there's 2 fundings going into these same, one is
Yeah.
from the ARPA and one is from the general funding area, so.
So the
areas.
200,000, he will continue the scope of work that we signed with him last year, which is TRT, trauma response, meeting with families who have lost a loved one. I mean, I think you guys probably have the scope of work.
It's every year.
Yeah,
It's every year.
yeah. And then we're just adding on to that the 2 credible messengers for him, which street addiction, TRT, they can manage
Of
two
course,
two
of
credible
course,
messengers.
Of course,
Yep.
of course. Any other questions?
Just in the near future, I would just make a recommendation, see if we can consider finding some more funding for them too.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, Council Gathers, and we have had that conversation with with Noble number of times that he has come here because his budget has pretty much stayed the same, and he does such an amazing work, and we were just concerned is he all right, considering the amount of work he does.
Yeah.
So, and he said he's okay. So it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know, he added a van to his services, so they do have a camper with Cure Violence on it. It actually has a sign. So after 72 hours, they respond to a area where there was maybe some violence. So the last one was on Salina and Colvin, or on Martin Luther King and MLK, and he was out there for like 4 hours. They feed the community, and they also could do therapeutic services with the van out there. I believe it's still parked at McMahon Ryan's, so if you ever want to see it, it's usually parked over there. Good services, though.
Nice. Any other questions? Item 16. So, Latif, 16, 17, 18, and 19. There were a number of questions from counselors. So I want to hold a committee meeting so we can all answer those. this time will not handle that amount of questions. So
Yep.
why don't we arrange so we can hear some data, because we would like to see some numbers
Yep.
with it. So let's arrange something. Nathan is working on some dates
Okay.
to figure that out, and let's have a collective conversation so it's not in pieces.
Got it.
So.
Okay.
Just so we outline this, so this is just an extension, right? I
Yeah.
mean, the money has already been in the budget, we just haven't got started.
Yeah, we
at
started
the
because
time
of the
we thought we were
timeline.
gonna get started, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I
Yeah.
think because sending out contracts and doing all of that took time. So we just want to make sure from the time that it was started
Yep.
to now, I think because the last meeting was in June, and it's been 3 months, so we want to hear progress
I think we
before.
voted on this in April, didn't we, City Clerk?
Isn't this the second extension?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just an
it was
extension, yes.
It was extended before too, and now they're
I
coming
wish
back
those
to ask
banks
for a
would give me
second extension.
extensions sometimes.
So you guys gonna hold it?
We're going to hold it
Okay.
so we can have a collective
Okay,
conversation.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I'm all set.
You good?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Are you finished, Councilman?
You want me to keep going?
No, that's okay. That's quite enough. Thank you very much. Councilor Paniagua.
Good afternoon, everybody. I have item number 20. This is an agreement with Bun Shanikan King, and it's for mandatory harassment training.
Good afternoon, Council. Rick Elsever, Director of Human Resources. So number 20 is to enter an agreement with BSK. They conduct our annual sexual harassment training. It's mandatory per New York State. So they facilitate it. We log into their LMS, and they help us track compliance. And
We've been working with them for a long time, right?
yeah, I think this is the third or
The
fourth
third,
year that
yeah.
we've worked with them.
And this is across all employees of the city,
Correct.
part-time,
Citywide.
full-time, anybody?
Yep.
Okay.
Is this like in person, or is it something that they have to watch on? I'm wondering why is it with Shunikin King?
It's a combination. So we pay for subscriptions per email, but we also they give us the templates to do in person. So folks like lifeguards, things like that, don't have email access. A lot of DPW doesn't have email access, so we do the in-person trainings where we can. But the majority of this cost is for the email pay. Yep.
Okay.
So with this, what about EPA? In what way is this connected to EPA at all? Anything?
Not really.
Okay.
The EAP offers a whole variety of trainings and a whole sort of assortment, but this is a mandatory, very specific. So New York State has requirements that we have to meet, and that's what BSK helps us do. So like the interactive process versus a training with EAP, whatever it is, maybe a video, maybe an interaction with a person, but this meets all the requirements of the mandatory statute for New York State.
Any questions additional?
Rick, to Councilor Jones-Rouser, and I want to open this can of worms, but how much of our training around everything is on the computer versus in person? So are we doing the other trainings as, EIP trainings, anything we train for, workplace hostility, any of that, is it all modules online, or are we doing
No.
some in person?
We do the majority of stuff in person.
Okay.
Like I said, for sexual harassment, it's a 45-minute interactive thing that we go through. For that, it's probably about half, but the majority of everything we train on is in person.
Do we outsource all of it, or do we have internal training too?
No, so we have an internal for like safety stuff. We have folks that do defensive driving, reasonable suspicion. All of that is done in-house, in person. This is just one thing that we outsource because of the compliance piece of it.
How are you tracking who actually completes this?
So BSK, essentially what happens is we get email access to their learning management system, their LMS, and that manually tracks. It knows the email address, who it's associated with, and then it gives us a report every week of who's done the training and who hasn't.
So they do it at their own time. It's fine. And
Yeah, well, it's paid, so anytime during their day they can log in and complete the training. Yeah. So,
thank you. Any other questions?
any other questions?
Okay, we're
Thank
good.
you.
Thank
Richard, I'm not going to let you. Richard? Richard, I got one more. I
Yes.
think maybe you should share a memo on something we talked about as far as the problem when a healthcare provider, all of a sudden one of the, like the family medical group drops out and how it affects our employees and everybody covered by that. And maybe share a memo to all our city councilors so we know exactly what to say when people call us up.
Absolutely. We started that communication a few weeks back. We're going to pick that back
You-
up because
You've done
it's-
great with that, I
Yeah.
think, but this is one of these things that particularly irritates me when we vote on these contracts, and all of a sudden, one of the medical groups falls out of that contract.
Yeah.
I think we should probably have further discussion on how we handle situations like that.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Councilor Gathers.
Thank you, President
I've
Pro
been
Tem.
waiting for 21.
Have you
I
been
know
waiting?
You've been very excited about this.
So, maybe this question might be directed to our Chief Policy Officer, or I don't see Corey here at the time, or Neil Burke. The only thing, so this contract here is going to be coming to an end with VO the end of the month. We were going to schedule a committee meeting for the 16th. However, some people that we do need to be here is going to be away on a conference.
Okay.
And then the following week after that, there's another member that's not going to be available, not from the council, but from the administration side, excuse me, for the week of the 25th. So if there's any questions or anything, we can have a committee meeting, but I would like for all of us to if you have any questions or anything like that, if it can be either directed to Corey or Greg, to be able to answer, and we'll try to get the VO members to be here as well for that, so we can all gather our thoughts about this, because there's a broad range of questions that need to be answered, but it seems like our schedule right now is just being compelled due to people that need to be there. So if
I have
there's
a suggestion. I think that the city may want to do some community engagement with VO, because I don't think that we are getting the residents' feedback firsthand. Like, we get it at a lot of the community meetings, and it's not so pleasant. And that's probably some things that, VO needs to hear directly from the residents, what their concerns are and how they move forward.
Excellent feedback that I can share with Mr. Burke and with the team working on VO. Have you had communication already that the contract timing can't align with the ability to schedule a committee meeting?
So if voted on September 16th, then it would be in alignment with the contract, but the contract would be terminated at the end of the month. I don't know if our next voting session will compel with that, but yeah,
Why don't I do some follow-up too? And
that'll work.
Counselor, I'll be in touch with you directly.
Question issue for
Yeah.
council to, make a decision on whether to hold it to the next meeting or not, whether
That'll work.
to deal with that.
Okay.
With Corey Dunham out, I'll step in and assist and make sure we deal with this right away.
Thank you. Then for number 22, it'll be with the flock group. I believe we have, there we go, perfect.
Good afternoon, councilors.
Hey.
John Kildan, Department of Engineering. Item number 22 is a revoke permission to Flock Group to construct, own, operate, and maintain a single pole-mounted automatic license plate reading camera in the city right-of-way at the intersection of Hudson Drive and Thompson Road under an agreement with the town of DeWitt.
Perfect. Now this particular LPR, would that be accessible to both DeWitt and us, or is there some type of agreement?
If DeWitt chooses to give us access to it, then we can get permission for that, yes.
Okay. Any questions?
So both police departments will have access? Okay.
Any other questions?
I have just something to say. I was reached by a couple residents with concerns for Flock, so just something to pay attention to, more or less, that possibly that other states that have had this, they have some false readings per state. So basically, the plate might read for another, the numbers and the letters, but it's actually for another state, and it's caused issues for individuals in another state. So just something to pay attention to.
The,
Counselor, we're aware of that. We actually don't have our flat cameras up yet. We're still working on that. But once again, just a reminder, it's only a tool. It'll just be something that this looks like the plate. We still have to verify it and run through all the steps. So no arrests or anything will be made based just upon a license plate.
Okay.
But thank you. I am aware of that.
and Chief, if you don't mind reiterating that it's also only used for investigative purposes only. It's not doing anything with registration or insurance or anything like that.
Nothing like that. Just if we know that a crime occurred, we can go check the cameras and see if who was through there to, check to see who was through there.
Thank you.
But we're not monitoring proactively or nothing like that.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be all set. Thank you, President Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilor Gathers. I have items 23 through 26. The 23 we're going to hold. 24 is, who's going to handle that? Tim?
Tim Rudd, Budget and Purchasing Director. 24 is a contract with Living Mulch, which is a black female city resident-owned business, and it, to Councilor Caldwell's appeal, is a grant-funded contract. So this is part of the $1 million Bloomberg Procurement Transformation Grant that we got 2 years ago. So it's a way to increase our capacity temporarily without bringing on a permanent staff member. And it's going to help us develop effective communication strategies between purchasing and equity compliance to vendors, to help connect vendors to the opportunities that we have, and to hopefully have better channels for doing that in the long term after this consultant goes away. Are there any questions about, there was an RFP for this.
Okay.
Councilor Williams was on that.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you.
And the only other thing while I'm here, I would just like to introduce, I have relatively new staff for the Office of Equity, Compliance, and Social Impact. So I just wanted to introduce you all to Vaughn Davis, who's the new Assistant Director of Equity,
Congratulations,
Compliance,
Vaughn.
and
Yeah,
Social
bravo.
Impact. And Sherelle Pace is the new analyst.
Okay.
And today is literally Sherelle's first day. So they both came from
I wanted to note that there's, the Budget Director has a sport coat on, so that means this is a big deal.
So Councilor Paniago, when you run into businesses that want to get on the directory, you can reach out to me, but you can also reach out to Vaughn and Sherelle. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item 25 is special permit. I'm going to defer to Councilor Jones-Rouser. What, you have an issue with this?
Yeah, we were
We'll
supposed to
get-
get the
well, let's
language
wait
changed on
till
this.
Jake
I'm not
gets
sure
up
Jake,
here.
yeah.
Tim's a lot taller than I am. Good afternoon, Council. Jake Dishaw, Deputy Commissioner of Code Enforcement and Zoning Administration. So we had this on the agenda last session. There were some questions around the use type. So the exact use type, quote, it's a gas station with retail and or restaurant. So that's what it is directly out of the zoning code. Worked with Councilor Jones-Rouser and Clerk McBride and Joe Barry to make sure that the resolution clarifies that it is a gas station with a retail component, like most gas stations that are out there. So it ties the two together directly, which is what we want, because it's not a standalone convenience store. That would be food and beverage retail. So if the gas station part were to ever go away, it wouldn't be lawful to just remain a convenience store. So we clarified that in the resolution, and I think we're good on that unless there's other questions.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that the restaurant type wasn't.
It's a catch-all for gas stations with that title of retail and or restaurant, but that's the exact use type listed in the code. So that language has to remain, even though I know there's questions about well, it's not a restaurant. That use type captures all of that when it exists at a gasoline service station.
But if they wanted to, at some point, start to cook hot food or something, they do have to come back for those.
Well, if they ever wanted to change the use to either let's say a food and beverage store or a restaurant, that would be a change. It wouldn't, this is just like every other gas station that has a small convenience component to it with a little store. They're expanding that. And we clarified the resolution to make it very clear on that.
Okay, 26.
Item number 26 is also a special use permit. This is to approve a mini storage facility use type at 639 East Seneca Turnpike. No one spoke in favor at Planning Commission, and 2 people spoke in opposition to the proposal. But the Planning Commission did recommend approval.
This one I wanted to hold so that we could possibly try to get a public hearing or do some type of community outreach. Can you clarify exactly what the opposition was on it?
I can get those details on the record when those are sent in. A lot of them come in day of in writing, so we distribute them and we just make note publicly at the public hearing portion of the Planning Commission meeting that they're either this many in favor, this many opposed, but we can definitely get you those exact details.
Okay. So we'll hold the 26.
You hold it 26 for what, a committee meeting?
No, I want to say a public hearing.
Yeah, let's talk offline with
Okay.
Okay, I agree.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Jake. Counselor Williams.
Thank you, Counselor Hogan. Only one item today, and that's number 27.
Good afternoon, County Councilors. Number 27 is a very Mike Canizaro, Commissioner of Finance. Number 27 is really just an administrative request. You'll see the last 5 digits of that account string, 90,000. That's a department number. That's special objects of expense. So that's like health insurance hits that. Really your shared services, things that you can't, okay, this is a finance expense. This is a DPW expense. Those citywide expenses hit special object expense. So this specific account, 593004, this is the ARPA project completion. So this is, us moving the ARPA project expenses onto the general fund via a special object expense. That the workflow in PeopleSoft, okay, if it's a finance expense account, department 13110, that's going to go to me. If it's an engineering expense, I shouldn't be approving that. Mary Robeson should approve that. So really that 5-digit determines who it goes to in PeopleSoft. So this 90,000 goes to like me and Tim. Well, we want this 93004 to go to specific people for ARPA project completion. So it's just updating the workflow in PeopleSoft. Any questions?
I think you talk too fast for me. I know you talk. So this is just paperwork, basically, right? I mean, we're just
That
we're not-
90,000 number is changing to a 93004, which is a unique department number specific for this GL account, because we want to make sure we're adding additional information on these, vouchers, invoices, because we want to make sure we're including the prior ARPA project number so we can still track these at that project level.
Okay, now I get it. Any other questions? Do you get it, Counselor Matos?
I got it.
Okay. Counselor Matos is the smartest counselor. If he gets it, doesn't mean the rest of us are going to get it,
I
though.
don't think my husband would agree.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Okay. Counselor Jones-Rouser.
Thank you, Pro Temp. Have items 28.
Yes. Thought we might be able to have this one ready, but update as of late this morning. Still working with assessment and John Black and Law and the title search on this one. There's a somewhat complex history back to the 20s, and so something we're still working on. So I'm going to respectfully request to hold this again, if you would. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, 29 through 37. Welcome back, Kimon.
Thank you. Good afternoon, councilors. So we have items 29 through 37, which are requests to transfer the following properties to the land bank once the foreclosure process is complete. There are a few properties I'd actually like to hold. So item 31, we'd like to hold this item. Finance has had contact with the owner on August 28th and again on September 11th. The current occupant of the property is related to the owner, who I believe is deceased. They're working to contact an attorney to become the executor, so we'd like to give them a little additional time. Item 32, I'd actually like to withdraw. We've visited the property multiple times, and I think this case is extremely sensitive. We actually had to get Adult Protective Services involved, so we'd like to withdraw this item. And then items 33 and 34, we'd also like to hold because we've made contact with the owner.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Okay, so all the other items we are gonna hold as well, because I'll be going on vacation, and I wanna make sure that we are doing what we need to do to bring everything forward. So when I get back, we'll know everything else.
Okay.
So we're holding,
Yep.
okay.
29, 30, 35, 36, 37.
And I would just highlight, so Kaylin Hubbard has been doing a lot of work to do engagement. She's visited all these properties in the past 2 weeks and hasn't had luck contacting the property owner.
Okay.
Just want to comment about property on Park Street. Kaylin did get back to me, and the owner is deceased, Mr. Talarico. It was on Park Street to Strand Place, and I've been over there as well. So, deference to counselor, you know, we're going to hold it, so that's fine.
How long are you going to be on vacation, Councilor Rosser?
I won't be here next week, so
Okay.
the
Just
following
wondering.
week I'll be back.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Come on, a little off the rails here. Do we have are we talking about what the housing strategy looks like against properties in those neighborhoods that we're first going to launch the strategy with? So for example, Salt Springs is full of generational homes. Now they're in the hands of the children, the grandchildren, and some of the problem is the houses need help. And some of the owners that we've spoken to, and I think Councilor Caldwell could speak to this too, one of their problems is they look at the house and say, it needs too much work for me to invest further into the property, and then they stop paying the taxes and we take the house. Are we talking about what it looks like for these houses that will have an opportunity in the housing strategy to get help with the repairs so they look at the house differently in the future?
Yes, absolutely. So one thing we're doing with engagement is really trying to understand what the situation of every homeowner is. There are some residents who are a bit older and want to age out of the property. There are some folks who have passed away and the property is currently being occupied by a family member. So we are connecting with them, explaining the housing strategy, what plans are coming underway, but also exploring any way we can help them to enter into a tax trust so that they can start on a payment plan to begin to pay some of the back taxes before housing strategy investments start coming.
I just want us to be cognizant of, and I don't want to sound ageist here, but sometimes when we're dealing with someone who's in their 70s or 80s and they've lived in these houses for 40 years, we just need to be, sorry, Pat, but we need to be careful about realizing that they're not on
But he doesn't want
Facebook.
to be ageist.
Absolutely.
You know, they don't have Instagram, they don't get some of this information, so to go and knock at their door, they're very confused about things that wouldn't confuse most of us. Sorry, Pat.
It's
I don't-
okay.
it's
I know
certainly-
it's a sincere apology. so
It's
I'm
not
allowed
just
to-
age though. Sometimes it's just people that are checked out from one of those, 7-minute news cycle that a lot of us are plugged into, so.
Absolutely, yeah. And
Thank you.
as we approach properties, we're moving into more homeowner-occupied properties. We are taking delicate care to reach out a couple times, beyond phone calls and letters, making sure that we are knocking on doors and speaking to anyone that might be able to speak to the property.
Councilor Manto brings up a good point, because I'm wondering, especially like in some of the two neighborhoods we're going into, if somebody is already in a tax trust, I guess we're going to have to decide, as far as their grant status goes too, or anything else. I don't know if Michelle wants to address that. It's one of those things that when we meet on the 23rd, we're going to have to come to some sort of policies on
Michelle
some of these
Spansky,
issues.
Deputy Commissioner of Neighborhood Development. So as far as kind of the tax trust, there hasn't been obviously the board needs to make that determination. I think certainly the recommendation that we would put forward is that if you're in a valid tax trust and current on your payments, that shouldn't be a hindrance to moving forward. And I would also open it up for consideration of kind of like at a certain point, if you're behind on payments, you might be behind on other stuff. So I think we need to be intentional about making sure we're not creating more barriers to getting the job done. So
Right, exactly.
So the board will have those conversations, but we want to make sure that it's as inclusive as it can be.
Yeah, I think maybe I shouldn't have done that, but because we're speculating on something we haven't even developed any policies yet or have a committee meeting on yet.
And Counselor, on that note, Michelle is, she might want to say something, but we're going to have a waiver agenda with the counselor at large appointee and the district council appointee for the executive committee of the housing.
Okay, good.
And it would be a waiver agenda.
Okay, good. Thank you, Michelle. Thanks, Simone. Okay, there's no other questions. Item 38, Councilor Manto, Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Councilor Hogan. We're going to hold that for further discussion in the first of many committee meetings. Thank you.
Any motion to adjourn?
So moved, right?
Second? Okay.
Second.
Hey, Joe.
That's going to be interesting. Yeah?
Now everybody's